Welcome to Potentials. This is Ligia, and today we have Evan back on the show. Thanks for coming back on, Evan. It's always great to see you.
Oh, it's always great to come on. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Sure, sure. So today, I guess we're going to talk about some different things. One of the first things I guess we'll talk about is what's going on right now in the world and all the craziness and the weirdness and what do we think is going on? So you first.
Right, yeah. Let's see. The first one that comes to mind for me is just the UAP Act or whatever that I don't know. I've heard both victory and gutted, so I take any public information on that side as a win personally. I understand that there's going to be a national archive between all the agencies. So instead of having to FOIA, say like the DOD and then whatever the FBI and then another agency, you just FOIA the archive, and then you get all the information that we're allowed to have about whatever subject, which is interesting. I consider that a step forward, but also you're on everybody's radar instantly for if you're trying to poke too hard. So
Right, right. Which is always the case, it seems.
yeah, it's a very
Yeah,
very valid point actually.
right. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the direction that we're going with disclosure? Do you think that it's actually gonna happen or maybe low key happen? Sort of low key right now, I think.
Gosh, yeah, no, I would make the reference from before that I've made where the I remember in coast to coast or maybe it's probably coast to coast. Somebody made the call that UFOs were just going to be around and people were just used to it. There's probably some of us, a good number of us that are maybe almost to that point as it is anyway, but I didn't believe it at the time. Now it seems like evident, like, oh, well, if you're waiting for somebody to give you the official Polaroid that says, like, here you go, it's real, like, I think that was released maybe already,
Yeah. I
personally.
yeah, I think it's kind of like a no-brainer. I don't know who doesn't believe in them anymore, but I don't really get how you can't believe that they exist at any rate because they're pretty it's become pretty obvious to me. I mean, I guess some people haven't seen them. Um, I guess there are some, but
Oh, I'm pretty sure that gets you off the fence pretty fast if you're personally, but I've seen a few flavors myself, but that
yeah,
the catching them firsthand, maybe it's meant to be confusing to if it's supposed to be a big scary threat or if it's something here that's always been here hanging out or if it's maybe Billy Bob made one in his barn, like who knows, like that could be any of those three options. I think is
yeah, that's
uh,
true. But I think that a lot of people know what TR3s are now. That's become kind of a bandied about term, and you people may still get confused with what different kinds of spacecraft are. They may not really know what's ours, what's not ours, and I mean that's maybe gonna be going on for a while. Um, I don't know how long it's gonna take until it's gonna be something that we actually know for sure. Like, okay, this is definitely not ours.
well, if you
And
take that, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'm just gonna say if you take I like we were to talk about maybe propulsion. I mean, I guess really that's not something they're gonna give away. They're not gonna give away how things work necessarily to the general public, but you can you can see that a lot of our stuff is sort of starting to catch up with what most people think of as UFOs, like the stuff that we're putting out there, you know, and allowing people to see. And I know that what isn't ours, they have cloaking devices. They keep themselves pretty much hidden. Um, and they know how to come in and out of our dimension, you know. So there's portals, there's stargates, there's things like that. And we're just now starting to stumble upon them. And but people are putting stuff out there. Like I know a lot of people don't like TikTok and they think that it's silly and ridiculous, but there's a lot of really interesting stuff on TikTok, and I think you watch it too. Once you get yourself in the right algorithm on TikTok, you find the right people, the right you know, content creators on there that you can find so much information, like just a wealth of information on all of the disclosure stuff.
Well,
And
they have servers set up, I think, different for uh outside the national region and then inside the national borders. And I think the
yeah.
foreigners get maybe a little bit more of an open book on stuff that's in that vicinity, but not necessarily of the region that the servers are located. If that's being clear enough without
Oh
saying
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, there's parts of the world that you're gonna probably be more privy to some information than others. But I still feel like there's somehow there are people that are still getting through. Um, and I don't know if it depends on how many times you've been pinged or how many people you have watching you, what kind of a following you have that enables you to be able to come up with this, you know, or to put this information out and keep doing it over and over and over again. I know I have some of my own favorites on TikTok and Instagram and X, and you know, those are all platforms I feel like where you can put this stuff out there. I mean, maybe not so much Instagram. People are reposting things a lot on Instagram, but the
Well,
original content is coming from TikTok, you know. So
I feel like there's a line. I would agree. I definitely would agree. But I also feel like there's a line, like even for like any of those, if you like say you figured out like, oh, all you need is just a metal coaster, and then you take just a rock off the ground and a lighter, you light it for 3 seconds and two taps, and the coaster floats. Like that's all it takes. And then you show everybody like, I think just the fact that it's that easy, like it wouldn't matter like what you said or how you said it, but that would
mm,
somehow wind up you getting no views or whatever.
yeah,
But
you
it
know,
would be public.
but I see these things though. I still manage. I don't know how I stumble across them, but I found one of a guy sticking a light bulb right in the ground, and the light bulb lit up. I mean, come on, that was on TikTok, and
Oh,
it
really?
had a
Yeah.
lot of views. It had a lot of
They,
views too. So
they have that. There's one where a baby picks one up too, and I was like, that
right,
genuinely makes me wonder.
the baby put it in its mouth. Did you see that one?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it lit up.
If the baby juiced up on with like tapped into something, or if it was a trick light bulb, or maybe
Yeah,
you know what like. I don't rule it out that it's real. Is the main point. Like it could
right.
definitely.
That's what I'm saying is it makes people think like, okay, either you're going to think, oh, that's ridiculous, that's silly, and that's fine. You're just not ready for anything. You're not ready to be open for anything yet. But the people who are open for it and watch it and go, okay, wait a minute, this correlates with something else that I saw, and they make the connections. They make the connections in their brain that, oh, okay, maybe this can be something else, you know.
Well, we don't have to use the med beds, for example. What about like the what was it, Grabenikov, the bug box guy, the dude that floated around on the pallet or whatever. So
Yeah,
what about if that's like the Billy Bob version, and then there's like the off planet version of it, and then there's the version that's always been here. But like if it was in front of you or me, like we would probably be well, maybe I don't. I heard got so good for in terms of the guy aging, but we would be like, hey, cool, let's take it for a little whirl or something, or like let's But I've asked a few people that. Some people are like, I still, even if I wrote on it, took it apart, I still wouldn't believe it. Like that's the level of like there's gonna be
Yeah.
a part of the population that just no hands on writing it, taking it apart, putting it back together, writing it again, still doesn't believe it. So like,
Yeah. Well, I see what you mean. What really hurts me, it just hurts my heart, is I look back at those videos from 100, 125 years ago, where it shows people using technology that we would call steampunk now, right? And but it was so much better than what we have now. They were really inventing some real shit, and it was solid, and
yeah, like made to last.
we can't even like remake those now. We can't even manufacture that. We don't have the ways and
Material.
means.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no,
it's
exactly.
crazy. I mean, like, wow, we were so much more advanced even like 150 years ago. It's insane.
It almost seems on purpose, but I don't want to. I'm trying. I would stop a little short from there, but like maybe that some of the inventions from the 1800s might hold a little more water than they are claimed to have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I would love to see some of those things come back. Like my biggest dream would be to see airships come back, like real actual airships. The ones with the whole building on the bottom of them. Really, it was like a structure that you could, there were people slept, there were cabins that people slept in with like a hotel. It was literally a hotel on the bottom of the airship.
I
And
feel
I
like
saw
Kevin could do a lot better than whatever they were using back then. A and B, there's probably a way safer gas that they can use now. Also,
exactly, yes. But I mean, just the idea of the way they built things and the craftsmanship and the way things were just so much better. And yet they still, like, you can only imagine how heavy all of that would have been, right? To have like a literally almost like a little mini hotel on the bottom of an airship. Yet they were able to fill it with whatever they were filling it with. Um, and
oh,
and then, you know, flying it around. What? Like for really far distances. I watched a movie and it's a beautiful movie. I'm gonna plug the Doctor Regenerated on, I believe he's on TikTok. It's the Doctor. He's got a lot of different names. It's the Doctor's TARDIS on YouTube, I think, and he's got. But this one content creator, he promoted this movie that I managed to find because he said this is where it is on YouTube. I think it provided the link. I'll try to do it in the description here if I can find it. It's a gorgeous movie of from the 1920s or 30s. It's all documentary. Like it's this woman who was the first female to fly across the world, around the world in an airship. And they show the inside of the airship. They show the people. It's all film reels with the narrative. And so it's all actual film reels of what it looked like inside, how they started it up, how people would push it, like they would run alongside and help make it go. Like it was tethered and they would like run along with these. It was amazing. You actually watched it, like how it worked. And then they showed actual film of it while it was flying, looking down at everything, what they were seeing, where they were flying over. It went around the world. It's a fascinating documentary, but it's also like a little mini love story inside of it too, because she was in love with somebody on the airship. But anyway, but it was also tasteful. It was like a totally different era where people had class and nobody was like getting into fights with each other. There was no violence. There was no swearing. I'm sorry if anybody wants that. This is not the movie for you. um, but
that reminds me of the ones that in the Sir Dave and Lloyd Brandon the Arrow Club that they were like
yes,
the
I
silk
have
film.
that. I bought that book now. I forget
Oh,
the
you
name of it.
did?
Yeah, I bought the book. Something Club. Oh crap. Um,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
feel bad. But no, it
A-E-R.
was a great book. I bought the book after I saw Brandon hold it up. I'm like, I'm getting that book. But that's what I do. I have an addiction to books, but it's good. It's a really great book. I highly recommend it. It does talk about how they got it started and how it all happened, and um that and what stopped it from really becoming public was that when he tried it out the first time, somebody got killed because they didn't clear the trees and they weren't ready. It just wasn't ready yet. But so he had to like kind of keep it under wraps because of that one thing that happened that they didn't want anybody to find out. So it's
Well,
just
yeah,
little
if they're
things
trying to
like that
cover
that
that.
keep things from propelling into the future. But you think about how many airplane crashes we've had, how many, you know, tragic airplane crashes there have been over the past, what, 100 years, even, right? And yet nobody's said, let's stop flying. Nobody's, like there was one it, Zeppelin that crashed and 34 people were killed. That's it. 34 or 37. It was a very small amount of people. And then they said, oh, we got to get rid of airships. That
Well, if they're already eyeballing the profit margin as too small, then that's predisposed disposition, I think, right? Or like
Oh,
pre
yeah. I mean,
pre
we know that was all part of the plan, but it's still like just doesn't. If you start using your brain and start thinking about these things logically, rationally, doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense that they can use this kind of, but that's what they do. It's just all media related, and the media did this kind of thing to propel their agenda, the corporate
I don't
agenda.
remember. I don't remember that. I haven't gotten anybody to. I mean, I don't know myself. Maybe it is gas powered, but I haven't gotten anybody to answer yes to like, oh, the TikTok video, like you've seen that, right? Like you saw
Right.
it. Like, oh, you think that's gas powered? Like, nope. Uh, I don't remember where I saw it that somebody did the calculations just from the ground level to whatever the ceiling was like enough juice to power the planet for a year or something like that. I was like,
Mhm.
just from one of the emotions in it. Uh, they obviously didn't run up. There's bunches of them, but I think for that kind of aspect alone to it, like it's just the fact that people are open to the idea that it's out there and real is definitely like a huge step forward. Like maybe 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah. Right.
obviously maybe you and I would be like, yeah, that's legit. But to go out in public and be able to find people that agree with you on the street it's a rarity. It would be a rarity. Not so much now. So
Yeah. Do you think it's a generational thing, or do you think it's a matter of who watches the news or watches mainstream media or
somebody
that?
somebody pointed this out. I think it was maybe not last night, Bob Greenier, but somebody pointed it out. Like the '50s, they had cameras and stuff, but like it was generally like well-to-do people, or if you happen to be whatever. Like now,
Mhm.
for the most part, everybody's got a camera. Like if you
Right.
sent me a, like, you might not believe Joe Schmo on the internet. Like, oh, this is a real picture of me punching Bigfoot in the guts. Like, all right, but if I saw a picture that you sent me, you're like, no, I swear, like Bigfoot tried to steal my sandwich, I had to punch him in the gut. Like, and you punch, I'd be like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I wouldn't even, there would be no question in my mind of that. Like,
Right.
did you get your sandwich back? Like, dang it. Like, oh,
Yeah, no, that's so, but yeah, because it's credibility, right? It's what it
it
is.
is.
It's
Well,
about
yeah, it is.
credibility. And I don't feel like to me personally, the mainstream media has no credibility to me anymore at all. But there are some people out there that still believe it, still actually think that it does. So who are the people that are believing them now? Is it just people who are just they're just normas? Or is it people that are like it's because they're older and that's how they get their news, or is it people that are like just so embedded in 3D matrix life that they don't really want to pop out?
I would agree, maybe a little bit of all of them, but
Yeah,
I'm not trying to sound like I'm judging them, or I'm not ripping on
no,
anybody.
no.
I'm saying you're judging.
I'm
It
just trying to figure
the
it out. That's all.
greed part, I
Um,
think, feeds into the why it's not covered on the news because there's no profit margin to tell people
well,
that.
the corporate world owns the news. The corporations own the news. So they're not going to want to put anything out there that they're not going to be able to make money off of. Exactly. Right. They're not, it's not going to do them any good unless they could figure a way
Well,
to make money from it.
they would get clicks once for people reading about it, and then nobody. All right, there's no follow up on it because, like, all right, here everybody's good now. Like,
Yeah. Well, they also don't want to promote peace and harmony. So,
oh,
or,
absolutely, yeah, there's no money in that.
yes, obviously the opposite. So, like, yeah, they're trying to keep people as divided as possible, which is another thing I was going to talk about lately. I feel like there's been some kind of weird energy out there. I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's really just trying to make everybody just to divide even the people who are supposed to be coming together. Like the star seeds or whatever you want to call people who are sort of more awakened or aware of what's going on right now. Um, they're trying to kind of divide them as well, trying to get them to kind of argue with each other over semantics or things that, this person is an NPC or this person is corrupt. This person has been compromised. And maybe they have been, but what good does it do? Does it make it say, well, you can't believe anything they say now because they've been compromised? I mean, I don't know what to make of that. What is that? What does that accomplish?
I don't remember. Again, it was somebody else that, and I was mentioning this to. Hopefully, he doesn't mind putting him on blast. But I was talking to Devin, and
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
even where I heard. Shout to Devin. What's up, Devin Winter?
Love you, Devin.
All love for sure. I was saying something to him and about whatever. I can't remember where I heard it, and it's gonna bother me now. But truth has a frequency, and I'm like, oh yeah, it does for sure. It does. Everybody might
Yeah,
not have the same microphone to pick it up, but for sure, you're like, oh, that's clear as day. That's definitely that.
yeah,
And I would argue that to the point of all three examples. If somebody is compromised or whatever you want to say the deal is, like I would hope that if somebody thought that for me, if it was the case or not, that they would still give me like not give up. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
yes,
somebody said whatever about my dog being an NPC. I'm like, gosh, that's not true. Like, well, I'm gonna go love him up to
yeah,
make it up to him. I'm like, treat him however you like. I'm not judging you for that. It's fine, but I I wouldn't say that's a reason to give up on somebody. It's to the divide and conquer point also.
yeah. Even more reason to love them. Like even NPCs need love, right?
Right. Oh, exactly. Well, exactly. Like, or maybe at one point and down the line, the NPC, as you see it, comes around and actually is evolved further than you. Like they're just out in whatever time space, and then they snap back now, and whoops, hey, they can teach you some stuff. Like,
Yeah,
good thing you.
exactly. Oh, I hear Alpha whining.
Oh, you do? That's yeah. He's there's a little lady pup that's in heat upstairs, and he's
Oh no.
very much yeah. He's hopefully that's not on the whole recording because he definitely has been going.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Alpha is Evan's dog, by the way, just in case.
100,
People are wondering
130
what we're talking about.
he's maybe 15 pounds lighter than me. 130-pound
Oh,
husky.
he's adorable too. He's beautiful.
Oh, my best friend. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what what do you think? we should pursue as people who know, like, we kind of know what might be coming around the pike, sort of. What do you think we should be thinking about or concentrating on to help other people?
Gosh, yeah,
I know that's a big question
yeah,
because I don't even know the answer to that.
the they try to spread healing. I don't know to put like a tactful spin on it without sounding like Captain Hippie, but it's like it's all about love and positivity, and if you can
Yes,
like actually demonstrate it somehow, it seems like it does actually make an impact around you. Like just in general, like if there's ways to not be a downer, frowner, or if you notice you are, like just cut yourself off somehow about it and find something to be stoked on. And that for sure is a good starter in my book. I don't know if you've got any
I totally
ideas.
agree with that. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yes, and that's Captain Hippie. I don't care what anybody calls me. I've been called worse, but yeah, no, I agree. More peace and love. Why not? What's wrong with peace and love? You know, what wasn't that an Elvis Costello song? Something about I can't remember now. Something about why can't we? I don't remember. Yeah. See here, my kitty.
Oh, I love Elvis Costello. I think I saw him a couple times.
Yeah. No, I did see him. I stumbled upon him one time by accident. He was playing in Pittsburgh with Emmylou Harris, and they were doing a just a dual concert where she would do a couple songs, he would do a couple songs, they'd do a couple together. It was awesome.
Oh,
It was
I bet that was
it was an outdoor concert in the summertime. It would have to be in Pittsburgh, and it was right next to the river, and there's a train track right next to the river, right? And all of a sudden, this train went by while they were getting ready to do another song, and he starts launching into this song called "Train, Train, Train" or something. I don't remember. He just
yes.
starts out of nowhere, just starts playing this song about a train, and it was. And then she jumps in, and I'm like, "Wow, that's so badass."
Maybe they improv it. That would be sweet if they improv it, like or just
They
subbed
did.
out some.
Yeah, they
Oh
did
yeah,
just completely like out of the blue. They weren't planning on doing that song. They just thought, and that's the cool thing about like really seasoned musicians like that. They can just do that. You know, they could just jump into a song out of nowhere. Because they both know it. It's just
well,
I love that.
I'd say that in general for really seasoned, just being really seasoned all around, like that speaks to
Yeah.
they definitely got ambushed, like they were ready to rock and in the zone, like and the train, like oh, you know what? Let's roll with it. I'm gonna sing about the
Let's
train.
roll with it. Yes.
Yeah,
And that's how we should all be. Like when something happens, like we're just talking about how to handle things down the pike when unexplained things happen or something you're not expecting. The best way to handle it is roll with it, right? Jump into a song, maybe.
absolutely.
Start singing, start playing a
Well,
song.
if you're especially if you're playing for people that can appreciate it, that makes it even better.
Yes, yes. So yeah, try to maybe hang with people who are like-minded that way, and then you can all deal with it together, and make it fun.
And that's always the best part.
Right, right. Make it fun, make it peaceful. Um, yeah, I agree. So, well, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Gosh, I don't know that. I don't know how much harder the press the limit on to maybe we could point people in directions for stumbling across avenues of their own development on in terms of it being real because I definitely think that's probably one of the big hurdles. Like there's like a lot of a lot of smarter people out there that just maybe if they even thought any aspect of it was legit, they would start branching out in their own method of looking into it. I don't know. Obviously, Dave Zed and Dan Wonder and stuff, but I don't outside of that and potentials.
Thank you.
Like Brandon on expanding reality and
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
Ani Osaru, he's amazing. Yeah.
Ani, I didn't mean space
Yeah.
Ani, absolutely. Yeah, it's there's so many avenues of how you can stumble across what you have for an aha moment that I just encourage everybody to lean into their gut personally. That was
Yeah,
probably the list.
definitely. That's really what it's about is trusting your own intuition, you know, going where you feel like you're being led to go. I, I think that most of the reasons why people get into trouble is because they're we're so used to being told what to do that we just wait to be told what to do instead of looking into it ourselves and doing our own research and taking other people's word for it, which is nothing wrong with like listening to certain people that do know what they're talking about. Um, but on top of that, besides that, alongside with that, do your own research, look into it yourself. Like try to find some papers. There's some um, academia.edu has some really good papers. I highly recommend that website. Um, and if you subscribe, you can get them sent to you on a regular basis. So, like the Blinking Universe, which is a really good paper. There's a bunch of other ones like that that really they go into like I know maybe for some people they don't if you don't like reading papers, I get it. Um, if you're not big on reading, okay, but there's other ways to do research. You can go online and do research. Look at certain videos from certain people, like you just mentioned. Um, yes, highly recommend all of those people. So, anybody else you can think of?
Oh gosh, there's a whole list that I wrote down. There's audiobooks too.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, that's a good point.
I heard two or three people mention the Bearden book yesterday. That's the
Yeah. Tom Bearden, look him up.
yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
Gosh, I don't I don't remember
Richard
the rest
Feynman
of
is another one. Richard Feynman, Feyman.
Definitely. Are we allowed to mention shoulders here? Or,
Oh, Pen Shoulders, absolutely. Of
yeah,
course.
yeah. I
Pen
think that was
Shoulders, just like the
good too.
shoulder, you know. There's Salvatore
Yes,
Paez, which is
pie, of course.
Pais, is how you spell his last name, Pais. I could put the links in the description as well. I highly recommend looking into any of those people if you're interested in any kind of physics or anti-gravity, propulsion, quantum
Oh,
physics.
Hutchinson, the
Sorry.
Hutchison, the Hutchison effect.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Look up. It's Richard Hutchinson, correct? Or is it? Am I wrong?
Crap. No, I
I
think it's
forget his
John.
first name. Hutchinson is his last name. The Hutchinson
Yep.
effect. If you look up the Hutchinson effect, you Google that, you'll find him for sure.
That's a good.
There's
That's a good one.
YouTube videos out there on that. Um, Trying to think of anybody else. I know we're forgetting people,
Oh yeah, we are. Oh,
but that's a nice little start right there. If you're looking into any of those people, you're going to find some very forward thinking, um, some great ideas for the future that we can look forward to, and that we can make this happen. And I want to see it happen sooner than later. because I'm personally very impatient. I don't
I
want to
want
be like my dad and like live my whole life waiting for the, my dad, bless him. Um, he worked with computers when they were first coming out. He learned, he learned all the computer languages, COBOL, Fortran, DOS, all of that. He knew all of that stuff, but he never got to see really anything too crazy happen until right before he passed. And my dad was one of those people that liked to walk around with a camcorder on his shoulder and just video everybody doing everything. Like he would wait till you're about to put some food in your mouth at a family picnic, and then he would ask you a question.
that classic move. Classic.
That was my dad. But I love him so much, wherever you are, Dad. I still feel you around sometimes. But anyway, he was so excited because towards the end of his life, me and my daughters came to visit him, and I showed him the first video camera on a phone, and he was so excited. It was one of those old flip phones. It was a Helio from like 2006 that just like opened up like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I showed him like, look, Dad, I can video you and show it back to you, and I did, and he was like so excited. He was in shock. He was like, I can't believe I lived to see this, and he was just so happy. It's like
It really is
you're gonna get to
so many
see.
things.
He was like so excited for me, like your future is gonna be so amazing. He's like, you're gonna get to see so many things. And he was kind of a little jealous. And I'm like, I really hope that he's right. I hope that I get to see, I don't have to be his age before I get to see like all these really cool things happen. I want them now. Let's make
It
it
would have been
happen.
on yesterday.
I wanted him yesterday. Yes.
That's right.
Exactly. Let's make this happen. Let's have like some things going on in the sky that we could say are actually ours too, right? But that maybe we had a little help with, right?
The trifecta. I mean, if they all want to come down, all three varieties want to come down at once, that's all right too. But hey,
I am
whatever.
cool with that. I am cool with that. Like I've already, I gotta say, I mean, I'm gonna say sound weird, but I've already met some star people, and they're really badass, and there's really no way that you can't. There's nothing to be afraid of with them. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some baddies out there. I'm sure there are, but I haven't come across them, and I don't plan on ever having to do that. At least not in this current dimension. So, I think we'll be all right. I don't think we need to be afraid of anything. But things are happening, and we'll be protected. So let's not be afraid of the future anymore. Let's be excited for the future, because that's what needs to happen.
I
Right?
agree 100%. Oh, 150%. Well, to the point earlier about the names that we dropped, I would say even an additional step to maybe hone in what your specialty or flavor that appeals to you would like pick a couple, and then if you see there's overlay on the content like of ideas or maybe or how they approach it, like
Yeah,
that might speed it up a little bit
right.
for in terms of figuring what there's so many
Yeah,
multiple choices to choose from. It's
yeah.
easy to overwhelm the capacitor with just that.
Right. Oh, right. There's so much out there. There's so many different things that we can look into and we can do. But like you said, there is overlay. There are some things that fit together very nicely, actually. So once you start to see that, it makes it even more exciting. I feel like
I
I'm just so
agree.
excited for the future. I can't wait to be a part of it. And whether I feel like I will still be in this body and this avatar. But if I'm not, I will still watch from afar and be like so happy and excited for all of the people and the people that get to experience it. So, hundreds of years from now, I'll probably still be watching from some other realm. Maybe I'll drop in every once in a while, but and then make
Maybe
a
you'll
quick.
maybe you'll still be in the same frame, depending on if whoever gets whatever to work out. I don't know if that's one of
It's,
the options.
yeah, I mean, I know that it's out there. Let's put it that way. I know that it's out there. I
That's
know
a good way.
that it's just not accessible right at the moment. That doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. And I'm either way, I'm content. Let's just put it that
Well,
way.
it's not accessible at the moment to
At
us
the
that
moment.
we love.
Exactly. Right now, it's not accessible to the mainstream public, and to us personally. But you never know. And I'm not.
That I'm aware of. Yeah, there
I
might be.
never. I don't. I'm not limiting myself. That's just put it. I've decided. Well, I don't like to do that anyway. But I've decided that I'm never going to limit myself.
Definitely
There are no
wouldn't rule it out
limits.
either. I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Well, that being said, I think this has been a great podcast. I think we've shared a lot of information and you know, a lot of hope for the future and excitement and stimulating thoughts. So there's a lot of potential. I'd love to say that.
Oh gosh. Oh,
Ah,
I hear that statement. And whenever I hear anybody on any potential or any podcast, any say potential, I do it in my head. Not always out.
in your head, right? I do too.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Damon. That was brilliant. Good old Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, it
May he rest.
was. Well, I appreciate you having me on again, Linda. It was an absolute pleasure. And anytime you
Yeah,
want to rock a chat about something, I'm down.
absolutely. It was really fun as usual. And we will see everybody next time because I'm sure we'll do this again.
Oh, I look forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. Ciao for now, everyone.